Hello, Serge here from the Backyard Driving Range. We have a statement in question that came in to customer service from Hugh McCrory, and Hugh starts off by saying, I'm 75 years old, took up golf when I was 69, and have found your PPGS method very useful. In trying to follow your method, I found that I have a small but persistent slice, not just a fade. I finally came up with the following analysis. Please correct me if I'm making nonsense. Okay, so stay with me. He gets a little detailed, but I think we really need to go through this because it's going to bring out a big point that I think will help all of us. All right? So Hugh goes on to say, I was preloading right. I hit right. And setting up in this position with the face of my club at right angles to my target line. That's good. He's saying the face was at right angles. That means it was square to the target line. We know on, square, and solid is how you hit the ball correctly. To hit it straight and with maximum distance. I finally realized that after bumping left at the top of my swing and shifting my weight to the left, by the time my club got down to the ball again, I had opened up. Just writing a note I want to cover on that thought. Okay. I began to load left at setup, i.e. to the position I'd be in at impact. So that sounds like instead of being preloaded heavy right, you started going back to neutral. Okay? Also aligning the club head at right angles to the target line. Good, as far as the alignment of the club face. Then while maintaining this, I switch my weight to my right. So you come back here, you line up, and then you go back to your right. This causes the club head to close, which looks wrong. But after beginning my takeaway from this position, by the time my club head was returned to the face of the ball at impact, it has opened again because of the weight change to the left, such that it is once more at right angles to the target line. So my conclusion is you must align your club head setup with your body as close to the impact position as possible. Whether my theory is sound or not, it seems to have corrected my slice, and I'm hitting a lot more straight balls. Okay. I've run into stuff like this a lot. We get into so much analysis of our setup in a swing that's okay as long as you're doing it in the right way to achieve the right things. And this really isn't the right way. You're only reacting to the effect. All right? And everything that you've done is the effect. Remember, the whole world functions on cause and effect. That is the foundation in the physics of what the peak performance golf swing is all about. All my instructors and myself, we only deal in one thing: cause and effect. When we look at a swing and we see swing problems, the first question that we ask is, why is that happening? And then we say, because of this. And then we say, okay, so why is that happening? Because of that. And why is that happening? Because of this. And we wire it back until there's no more whys. And guess where it always comes back to? 99% of the time, it's always going to come back to something's wrong in the setup. The setup determines the motion. So we go all the way back and start and cure the cause and effect. Just think of medical terms. If a person got sick and they put him in a hospital and they just tried this and that and nothing worked, and they finally said, okay, we got no clue, but we'll know after they die. We'll do an autopsy and figure it out. What good was that for the customer? The autopsy is going to ultimately tell them what was wrong. But the key is that you don't want, but that's basically what Hugh was kind of doing here. He was trying to cure the problem. The problem is the effect. We got to work it back to the cause. Just get into good setup. What is rule number 5 in the 5 rules or secrets, whatever you want to call them, of the peak performance golf swing? Rule number 5 says, when you've hit a bad shot and you ask yourself, what did I do wrong? Or your friends start saying, oh, you did this or you did that. And what's the number one thing they're always going to say? Oh, you picked your head up. I mean, I've seen people stick the club in the ground and they or their friends say, oh, you picked your head up. Well, how can you stick the club in the ground by picking your head up? If you pick your head up, if your head's coming up, that means your shoulders have to be coming up, which means your arms have to be coming up, which means the club has to be coming up if you're holding on to it. So how did you stick it in the ground? That's just one of those things that have overcome the world that everybody's got, right? Everybody's got that issue. You have to go and cure the problem. The problem is the setup here, so let's just address the setup. I've always said pre-loaded heavy right. Pre means before. Before means you do it in the setup. So by you going this way and then you move back like this, the reason why the club is starting to look left to you is because when you're on top of the ball like this and you move back, there is a good chance that your hands shifted with you, like if you can see here very softly. And even if your hand stayed there, if you get back more, the club's going to start looking maybe shut because of the fact that you got a different angle towards the club face. Where you were on top of it, now you're slightly more behind it. But I'm going to guess more than anything, when you lined it up square here and you went back like this, your hands just came back with your body, your hands went back, that turned the club a little bit shut. So the key is to line the club up, get everything together, get set up there, and make sure that double check again from this position that the club face is square. But if you got it square here, and then when you finally look back, you're looking at the face and you never see that you moved your hands, there's very likely your big problem. All right? And so the setup determines the motion. You're now set up to hit it. If you swung from that position, going in the mitt, you're going to be taking, your club won't be leading well enough when you lift the club and turn and rotate your forearms to put the club in and catches mitt and up the tree. And so your timing is right off from the get-go in terms of your starting your takeaway. All right? So it's just subtle little things like this can do it. And so the key is I like to say, like I said, when I walk in, I set my face, I set my hands in the right place. And even when I go and I set back and I get in and I settle into my preloaded heavy right, that face is still square. So if you were here and you kept the club there, it should be the same. But I'm guessing, as I said earlier, you're letting the shaft is coming back with you, and you're only looking at the face, so you're not noticing that you've changed, your hands have followed your body back, and it's shut the club a little. All right, so the setup determines the motion. Look at, it's always cause and effect you have to deal with. Now, again, the reason why the face is opening up, if the club feels left, or you then start hitting some pulls, the brain automatically says, oh, the ball, I don't want this ball going left, so on the way down, it's going to have your lower hand, in my case, the right hand, under-rotate, go skyward. As you can see, what does that do? That starts to under-rotate the face goes skyward, you hit the ball with open face, it'll very likely start at or right of the target, and then slice more. So all of this starting, especially if your hands are back a little bit, it's changing the whole timing sequence of you getting back to impact in the perfect impact position. And I don't think impact position is not a place to start, because in an impact position with the peak performance swing, the lower body will have turned out of the way a little bit, the knee will have moved in a little bit, the hips might be a little open, but the shoulders will be square. That is not a place to start. I want to start right back here in the perfect setup position. So I would not say, I absolutely will vehemently say that starting at anything near an impact position for address is not anywhere near correct, and it's doomed to having a whole lot of problems. So let's stay with our rule number 5. When you hit a bad shot, you don't care. You say, who cares? When you ask what you did wrong. What I do wrong, who cares? Do the next setup and the next swing right or correctly. All right? If you have technical excellence in your setup, you can have technical excellence in your swing. Doesn't guarantee it, but you got a chance, because now all your muscles in the proper setup position to move correctly, so you can have the right timing sequence and everything squares up where it's supposed to do at impact, and you'll start hitting it more straight and solid and shooting those lower scores. All right, so let's deal with the fixing problems, not the effects. Okay, and you find out that when you try to do it right, you will do it right a heck of a lot more often and more consistently. That's it for the Search for today, and I'll be talking to you all again soon.